They say power is what you fly, but sometimes it's what you're denied. Rain hammered the tarmac like a warning shot when they cuffed Marcus Daniel, CEO, billionaire, father in front of his own damn plane. That sleek Gulfstream G650, $38 million of aerospace perfection, sat behind him like a silent witness. He stood there, soaked to the bone in an Italian suit worth more than most people's cars, saying calmly for the third time, "This is my plane." But the cop didn't flinch, save it for the station. See, the lie wasn't that he was boarding illegally. The lie was that someone like him couldn't possibly own something like that. Never mind the tail logo. Never mind the manifest. Never mind the damn fact his name was Marcus Daniel, founder of Horizons Tech Solutions, valued north of $2 billion. In their eyes, none of that mattered. What mattered was that he was a black man standing on a private runway, alone, without an entourage. And in a world where appearance still trumps proof, that was all it took. 3 hours earlier, Marcus had been running late to the biggest investor meeting of his life. 5 billionaires waited to hear his pitch education reform at scale, funding public school technology in communities like the one he grew up in. Instead, he was zip-tied and shoved into the back of a patrol car like some petty trespasser. Meanwhile, the pilot, Captain Richard Walsh, stood by, arms folded, expression blank. Not cruel, just certain. And somehow that made it worse. You gotta be twice as good to get half as far. His father's words echoed in his head, the way they always did when life reminded him of the rules. Marcus had built everything by those words: Stanford honors, 80-hour work weeks, navigating rooms he wasn't supposed to be in. But sitting handcuffed in a police cruiser, his empire suddenly felt like a house of glass. 6 months before that mess, he stood high above San Francisco in his corner office, watching fog slide in beneath the Golden Gate. On paper, he had it all: money, a company making waves in ed tech, and a daughter who reminded him daily that money doesn't mean understanding. 17-year-old Zoe had her mother's fire and none of her filters. She walked in that day late, unapologetic, with purple braids and combat boots squeaking on his polished floor. "This the new toy?" she asked, picking up a model of his private jet. "It's a business investment," he replied. "Right, because feeding a small country would have been too boring." They'd been dancing this dance since Lydia died, Zoe throwing punches made of principle, Marcus dodging them with dollar signs. She was spending her summer at a community center in Oakland. He wanted her in Atlantic City to meet investors. She saw abandonment. He saw a legacy. But something shifted when he told her the truth: this deal wasn't just about expansion. It was about stepping back, handing over the reins, being there for her, really there. For once, she softened. "So, if the deal goes through, you'll actually be around?" "That's the plan." And for the first time in a long while, there was peace between them. Fragile, but real. Back in Atlantic City, Captain Walsh was prepping for the flight. A seasoned pilot with a clean record and a sharp uniform. He wasn't malicious, just meticulous. But that morning, when Marcus arrived alone, close to departure, no security, no fanfare, Walsh's gut said something was off. He asked for ID. Marcus gave it. Still, Walsh stalled. Called dispatch. Made, just to be sure, inquiries. By the time the security SUV rolled up, it was already too late. "Sir, step away from the aircraft." Marcus protested. Calmly. Repeatedly. But the second he raised his voice, not in anger, just in disbelief, was face down on wet asphalt. "This is my plane," he gasped. "Check with dispatch." Too late. The cuffs were already on. News broke before they reached the station. By morning, every major outlet was airing grainy footage of Marcus being pinned beside his own jet. Social media erupted. CEOs, celebrities, parents, kids. Everyone had something to say. But inside the police station, it was just Marcus, seething in a chair, staring down a detective who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. "You're free to go," she finally said. "We're truly sorry." "Apologies don't undo humiliation," he replied, voice steady but sharp. "What happens next? Oh, the pilot, the officers, the assumptions that did thesis, what matters." Outside, a legal team was waiting. So were the cameras. His lawyer, Emily Chun, briefed reporters with the precision of someone who'd been here before. Marcus said few words. He didn't have to. The image of a black man in handcuffs beside his own aircraft had already told the story. That night, Walsh sat at home watching the coverage unfold. Missed his daughter's recital. Lost his job by 7 p.m. His wife didn't say much. Didn't need to. He confessed everything, how he doubted the man, how none of it felt right, how his gut had cost them all something. And that's when the reckoning began. Back in his hotel, Marcus called his mother, Josephine. At 73, she didn't mince words. You gonna sue him into the next decade or teach him something he'll never forget? I don't owe him that, Marcus replied. You don't, she agreed. But maybe the next man who looks like he does. The next morning, Marcus showed up at the airport. Fresh suit, steady voice, and a decision. I'll meet him, he told Emily. Briefly. Not to forgive. To confront. Upstairs, Walsh stood waiting. No uniform now. Just a man stripped bare of title, reputation, and certainty. He apologized direct, no excuses. I judged you because of what I saw, not who you are. And I'm ashamed of it. Marcus didn't let him off easy. You wanted to feel safe. So you made me dangerous. Still, he proposed something unexpected. Not a clean slate. Not redemption or responsibility. Use what you did, Marcus said, to build something better. Help us build an educational module that teaches pilots to see their bias before it costs someone their dignity. Walsh didn't flinch. I'll do it. And he did. 6 months later, Walsh became the face of a pilot bias training program developed with Horizon's techonist. Raw. Uncomfortable. He didn't ask for sympathy. He just showed up, told the story, told other pilots how fast it happens when you're not paying attention to what you've been taught to fear. That program now runs in 30 cities, and it's growing. At Zoe's graduation, Marcus gave the commencement speech. He told the students what his father told him about being twice as good and how he'd built his life on that code. But then he told them something new. That day on the tarmac wasn't just about me, he said. It was about what we allow ourselves to believe when no one's watching. What we excuse as instinct. What we justify as caution. The crowd stood as he finished. It wasn't a happy ending. Not really. Too many wounds still healing. Too many questions left hanging. But it was a beginning. Now it's your turn. Was Marcus right to meet with Walsh? Should he have pushed harder or forgiven more? Let us know your thoughts below. Because justice isn't just a story, it's a conversation.